can do your simple tax return for you for free.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. We're experiencing a few technical difficulties coming into this, but my camera, I don't know if you guys watched the other live stream where it started glitching and like doing all this weird stuff. That started happening again, and we don't want to have a camera that's going crazy for the stream. You want to be able to see me, right? Because who wouldn't, right? Yeah, let me turn off the music because it's distracting me. Holy shit. That music makes me feel like I have fucking ADHD. Jesus Christ. Give me a fucking Adderall to pop for my adhead. But whatever. Okay. So, yeah, today we have 0 viewers in the chat. Started the stream a little bit late. Nothing happening in the chat yet, so it's like Do I want to talk? Do I want to say anything? I don't know. Hey, Tremendous Pain. Yo, what up, brother? How you doing? Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing okay. I just had some classes. One class today. This is the end of my week, though. Thursday is my last day. Thursday is my last day of the week, so I don't know. I just want to relax, chill, and, I don't know, stream a little bit. Oh, I feel tired. Holy shit. Okay. This week has been a little bit exhausting, but that is what life is. Life throws at you what life throws at you. But yeah, so today I didn't really have much planned. I kind of wanted to talk about one video that I think Felechno sent in the chat the other day. He was talking about the Matt Christopherson video about Ketanji Brown Jackson. So I kind of wanted to watch that because I felt like that could be interesting, get some content out of that. Because I watched that the other day, I'm like, oh, I actually kind of have stuff to say about this because I don't know. I feel like there's more to it. It's a lot about like the whole child porn conspiracy, or not conspiracy, child porn conversation, discussion, discourse, all that stuff. Why did I say conspiracy? Jesus Christ. I think the liberal brain rot is getting to me, calling everything a conspiracy. I just say that word too much now. Jeez. No, it's okay. But we are chilling today. I was gonna watch that. We got 2 viewers. We're streaming at a different time than usual, so maybe that might be affecting things. Let's see. When did I stream the other day? Oh, it doesn't tell me. Never mind. But yeah, it's been a week since the last stream. I'm kind of excited to get going. Yeah. Let us... I don't know, do we start now, or do we just watch some more, play some Minecraft for a little bit, let people come in? I think we could probably start now. Yeah, so I think the first thing we're going to talk about, there's a video made by Matt Christensen about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Oh no, I'm going to say that name. I'm probably going to mispronounce the name a lot in this video, but that's okay. That's something that you guys deal with because you're watching a white dude in college stream. It's like, okay, a white dude from South Dakota streaming. It's like, no. But yeah, you get what you pay for, You guys pay for nothing, so I'm not going to pronounce anything right. But yeah, let's jump into that video. I think I should be able to skip the ads. Yeah, I wanted to watch this video. I did watch it beforehand, but I wasn't really paying a ton of attention. I more just watched it, try to figure out what was happening in it, because someone said it in the chat the other day. We were talking about that, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. So I watched it, had some things to say, and now it's time to actually put them into words. I had some thoughts, let's say. Let's see if I can. Oh geez, is this gonna work? Oh no, my OBS is frozen over here. Okay, we love the Wi-Fi here. We love the $30 a month Wi-Fi. I guess you get what you pay for. Okay, here we go. Okay, there it is. Awesome, and transition. Let's go. What is? Yeah, let's do the theater mode. Oh.
As the Ketanji Brown Jackson Supreme Court hearings wrap, and despite the controversies, it is expected her nomination will be confirmed in early April, all but a guarantee now with Senator Manchin's announcement of support. It's amazing to consider just
yeah, because it seems like she's very bipartisan. Like everybody seems to support her. So the Republicans are throwing some things at her, like the whole Joshua Hawley thing about the child porn. Or the thing where she's like under prosecuting those cases. Which we're going to get into this video. So.
How bad some of the judges' answers were. And I get it. When you take a grilling for several hours straight, it's tiring. It's frustrating. You're bound to make some mistakes. But the thing is, Ketanji's worst answers weren't actually on surprise attacks at all. They came with explicit advance warning. Outside of the what is a woman insanity, the most controversial piece of the judge's history and testimony is her record on child pornography sentences, more lenient than prosecutors' asks and federal sentencing guidelines in every case that she's handled. And
Yeah, but I think it's the case that for most of these most child porn cases, the consumer of child porn gets underneath the like suggested sentencing anyway, so it's not, I don't think it's out of the ordinary. I could probably look it up. I could probably look up the percent. That would take a while though. I've seen these percentages before. Take my word for it. Do some research on your own if you disagree with me. If you find anything different, post it in the chat, please. I don't want to take up too much time doing a bunch of like all the Google stuff.
for whatever you think of the fairness or accuracy of that criticism, there's no way to claim it was an ambush. Senator Hawley, leading that line of attack, publicly published his case last week and told the judge personally on Monday, "These are the specific cases I am going to ask you about. I'm not looking to smear you. I'm looking for your fair, prepared explanation."
Some have asked, why
See,
did I...
that's reasonable though. Telling her beforehand, I feel like that's fairly reasonable. He's doing it in the right way. It just, I don't know. It seems like bringing child porn prosecution into it, bringing child porn. It's like, I feel like that is the perfect issue just to set people off and just polarize everybody, because people struggle to think rationally when you get pedophilia or anything involved. They like, the initial thought from a lot of people is like, oh yeah, let's fucking chop their balls off and throw them in a cage and hang them or some shit. Like, it's a little disproportionate to what the crime is. Obviously, it's a bad thing. I'm not like a child porn advocate or something. I think, especially the people who produce it, they're child exploiters, and people who like molest children. Then they deserve to go to prison for a long time. But we can get more into that.
I raise these questions ahead of the hearing? Why not wait until the hearing? I'm not interested in trapping Judge Jackson. I'm not interested in trying to play gotcha. I'm interested in her answers, because I found in our time together that she was enormously thoughtful, and I suspect has a
Yeah, it's so weird because this feels like such a gotcha thing. Because I don't, yeah, but we can
coherent view and explanation and a set of thinking, way of thinking about this that I look forward to hearing.
And yet, Jackson's apparent prepared answers included, "I don't know the specifics of that case."
I don't remember in detail this particular case, but I do recall it being unusual.
Even though that specific case was cited ahead of time to give her the benefit of preparation. But even "I don't know my own record" is...
See, that's, I guess I can understand it, like, not, I don't know, but if it is something that he gave advance notice of, I don't know how much advance notice necessarily it was, but it probably should be something she should have looked more into. But I can understand saying like, hey, I don't remember the exact specifics, this was a long time ago. Even if you go back and like research the case, you're not going to remember it as well as you did when you were actually judging the case. Yeah, I think you don't, it's hard to go back and remember exactly why you made a certain decision, even when you are represented with all the evidence of that case. Like, I could probably, let me think of an example. I could probably remember certain details of a like cross-country meet that I had in high school. I couldn't remember like very specific details of those, even if I did go back and like did all the research about it. Like, I have a different thought process now. I have a different way of thinking. So you can't entirely blame her, but she probably, I don't know how much of this is like clipped out of context. I don't know what the context surrounding this is, but that's probably not the best answer. She probably could have said more than just, oh, this was an unusual case and I don't remember the specifics. I feel like she could have probably gone more into stuff that is of public record if she would have prepared more for her answers, but it's understandable.
Still a better answer than, yeah, well, this is the sort of crime that happens to the best of us unwittingly. In between browsing Facebook and shopping on Amazon, who hasn't accidentally distributed a few thousand child porn images?
You can receive, you can distribute tens of thousands. You can be doing this for 15 minutes.
Okay, the distribute thing is a little strange. It's possible that you could receive child porn just on the internet, like I don't know. I feel like Facebook would take that down. But it's possible that like something could just like pop up. But I don't know if that's what the kid. I don't know. I don't know the context of this specific clip either. I wish he would provide a little bit more context to these clips, because I don't know exactly what she's being asked in these responses. I think that's an issue in general with this video. But I mean, I don't know exactly what she's responding to, so I can't. Yeah, let's hear the rest of this.
And all of a sudden, you are looking at 30, 40, 50 years in prison.
Good.
Who knows? You might spend only...
Oh, that's absurd. Yeah, 30, 40, that's insane. Like, for example, let's say I were to, like, go on Twitter or something, and some random message request sends me, like some bit of child porn. Like, it's like, okay, is that... Do I deserve to go to prison for that? Like, I didn't ask for it. I didn't consent to that being sent to me. I think the person who sent it should probably go to prison. But I don't think... Yeah, I don't think necessarily if I'm receiving that, it should be a problem. Or another thing, let's say a parent has a kid and, like, I don't know, does something stupid and, like, posts, like, a bathtub picture or something, or, like, something where their child is not fully, or I don't know. I can't think of a specific example. Like, should that parent be prosecuted for posting, like, a baby picture of a kid where the baby might not be fully clothed? But I don't know.
15 minutes committing one school shooting, and then all of a sudden, you're looking at life in prison. Yes, a whole lot of crime can fit into just a few minutes, and that's a truth that's certainly not unique to this one. Even serial killers spend 99.9+% of their lives not murdering, but it's the brief murdery parts that...
Yeah, see, I think this is true. I think most child porn cases are not like these weird nuanced examples, but I think there is some room for nuance that requires some sort of judicial discretion there discretion from the judge. So you can think of like a wide range of different possibilities for what exactly these cases could be. So it's like, it seems really weird to have these like insane sentences that should probably be reserved for the person with like multiple gigabytes like in one of their folders on their computer. Like, it seems absurd.
That the law is concerned with. And why should crime committed digitally deserve more lenient punishment anyway? If I rob you by hacking your Venmo, is that a lesser crime than physically plucking the cash from your wallet instead? And as though it's so common or understandable anyway, if you're watching this video, you likely have years or even decades of internet experience behind you, and yet that history includes not 15, but exactly 0 minutes of child pornography distribution or consumption. I guess you're one of the lucky few. Your days of nobility and virtue are apparently numbered. It is baffling that with warning and...
See, that's true for me, but I don't know if a lot of your viewers could relate to that. But I don't know.
preparation time, these are among the best answers that Jackson and her team could come up with, when there's a much more plausible one to go with. And in fairness to her, she did go with it. She just muddled it up by straying away from it to much worse and sillier arguments. It's not a rationale I agree with, but it's a lot less clownish than "I don't know my own record," even with advance notice to look it up, and whoopsie, I accidentally uploaded thousands of child porn files to YouTube instead of this video. It goes like this. Current federal law insufficiently distinguishes between production and possession or sharing. And producing the material is worse than simply consuming it or sending it to somebody, because production means the direct abuse of a child. And to the extent that judges have full...
Yeah, because I definitely think that I agree with this. Because, yeah, obviously, as he said before, like, production of it, distribution of it, those are much different offenses than consumption of it. I think consumption of child porn points more to a sexual illness that somebody has, pedophilia. Or pedophilia can be conflated with child abuse in and of itself, and I think that's bad. But someone who is attracted to children but never actually does anything that abuses them, I think that is an illness. And the actual actions that you take after that, those can be criminal. Those can actually harm children. But the people who actually who just have an attraction to children, I think those people should be treated more in a therapeutic sense. Like, go to therapy, take drugs that lower your libido if you can't actually resolve the problem. And yeah, now viewing child porn, that goes a step further, because then you're indirectly supporting the abuse of children. So I think that definitely deserves some criminal punishment. But I do think that the justice system definitely conflates consumption with production way too much, because this is the consumption is someone acting out an illness in a way that indirectly supports child abuse. But like the producer, they're actually like rounding up children and producing child porn with them. So I think it makes sense to differentiate between those things. And also, there's a very wide range of possible things that could be considered viewing child porn, like or possession of child porn. For example, like if an 18-year-old has a 17-year-old girlfriend, and that 17-year-old girlfriend sends him nude pictures, is that possession of child porn? Well, under the law, I think that would be considered child porn. In fact, I think it's considered possession of child porn if a 16-year-old sends their also 16-year-old boyfriend/girlfriend nude pictures of themselves. So it's a very, very, I don't know. There's times where it gets blurry, I think.
Discretion in sentencing these cases by virtue of a 2005 Supreme Court case that made congressional sentencing guidelines advisory and not mandatory. Federal judges have, as a trend, sentenced possession and distribution on the lower end of the sentencing range.
See, and I think that makes sense because, yeah, as he just talked about there was a recent case, or I don't know how recent it was actually. There was a case that basically made sentencing based on sentencing for child pornography, made it advisory rather than mandatory sentencing, which I think is reasonable because a lot of, like, no two cases are the exact same. So we do need some consideration of context when deciding how much to prosecute someone for. I don't think there's some intrinsic amount of time that someone deserves to go to prison for because they violated this law, in like a child porn law, in a certain way. I think there are different ways to violate that law, and I think that needs to be considered in sentencing. And I think that is probably the biggest reason why Ketanji Brown Jackson, as well as most justices, most federal judges, or judges in general, sentence people lower than the sentencing guidelines for child porn consumption.
Case that made congressional sentencing guidelines advisory and not mandatory. Federal judges have, as a trend, sentenced possession and distribution on the lower end of the sentencing range. A 2021 report from the U.S. Sentencing Commission, of which Brown Jackson is the former vice chair, found that in 2019, 59% of non-production offenders received sentences below the guideline range as a result of this issue. Enhancements that were designed to apply only to the most serious cases now apply to most cases in general, because computer and internet storage and distribution of the material has put it on a scale much larger than when the law was written. And of course, that's not an argument without its flaws. It's just an argument that pushes Jackson more into the judicial mainstream rather than some outlier. But the question...
I think I generally agree with that argument. He's saying that it has its flaws, but he's not pointing to any of them, so I can't directly attack what he would say in response to this. But I do think that's a fairly reasonable argument. Yeah.
Remains, what if the mainstream is wrong? And not just wrong on the question of what are the appropriate sentences for these offenders, but wrong on the question that's more central to her confirmation, wrong on judicial philosophy. Because fundamental to this argument that Congress hasn't appropriately updated the law to meet the times is that judges should correct that issue. That if judges decide that the law isn't modern enough, or kind enough, or considerate enough, or is otherwise subjectively deficient, that judges should insert their own policy preferences to correct that matter. And that is an argument that takes a very clear side on what is more important, the application of the law as written or the judge's personal political opinions. And it's not as though...
I think he's conflating something here. He's conflating what the law is with the judge's discretion on sentencing. There's a difference between saying that, oh, I'm going to follow the law to the letter, and saying that I'm going to adhere to the sentencing guidelines put forth by the U.S. Sentencing Commission. There's a huge difference there. I think that it's the difference between what the job of the jury is versus what the job of the judge is, essentially, when it comes to actually like sentencing people and determining whether they're legal or illegal. The judge obviously has other roles in the trial, but the jury's job is to say, okay, did this person violate the law or not? And the judge then, based on the context after the jury's verdict, decides on sentencing after that. And the sentencing is very much up to the judge's discretion. So saying that, oh, I don't believe in certain sentencing guidelines is not trying to play fast and loose with the law, saying that, oh, this law isn't modernized enough. No, it's saying these sentencing guidelines don't fit the crime in the context that I'm seeing it committed in. So I'm going to go under those guidelines as a judge based on my judge's discretion, which is a fundamental part of how our law works.
Prioritizing personal political opinions over the law has stopped the confirmation or careers of justices prior. In many ways, that too would be a continuation of the norm, regardless of what the law says. But the trouble isn't just that it's the wrong philosophy. It's that it's in opposition to the philosophy that Jackson herself claims to hold. It's not just a contradiction with constitutional fidelity. It's a contradiction with Jackson's own testimony. The hearing's first questions came customarily from Judiciary Committee Chair Dick Durbin, who was trying to get out ahead of all of this incoming criticism. One of those criticisms being potential judicial activism, judging cases based on what you want the law to be instead of what the law is. And so Dick Durbin asked Jackson about her judicial philosophy. And if you only read the transcript, you'd think it was Scalia or Thomas talking.
So would you like to comment at the outset?
I think my camera did something weird. Hold up, give me a second. Let me fix that quick. Sorry about this. Sorry, my camera is not necessarily the best. Activate again, and awesome. Sweet. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So let me just go back and remember what he just said. Okay. Let me catch myself
instead
back
of what the law is. And so Dick Durbin asked Jackson about her judicial philosophy.
So
and if
the whole concept of judicial activism, I think I probably agree with Christopher Christensen is his name? Yeah, Matt, I probably agree with Christensen that judges shouldn't be super active in deciding, oh, this is like, I'm going to reinterpret this law to fit my personal beliefs. I think the purpose of the judges, read the Constitution, read the law as it is, and interpret that as it actually is, as the founders intended it, which I think I probably agree with most conservative judges on that. And Ketanji Brown Jackson also agrees with that philosophy. That is the philosophy that she puts forward, which is why I think she has bipartisan support. Yeah, she's also a very qualified. She's also a very qualified judge, especially when you look at her comparison to other judges. So those two reasons, I think she has a very palatable judicial philosophy that isn't a big fan of like all the judicial activism that one might expect from if like Bernie were to be the president. Like he would probably put someone forward who would take a very active role in reinterpreting the law and modernizing it. I think Breyer has that philosophy, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Ketanji Brown Jackson, she has, as she explains, she has a judicial philosophy that's opposed to judicial activism, which is what he's going to use as his like big contradiction here, I think.
Only read the transcript, you'd think it was Scalia or Thomas talking.
So would you like to comment at the outset of those who are looking for a label, what your position is on judicial philosophy?
Adherence to text is a constraint on my authority. I'm trying to figure out what those words mean as they were intended by the people who wrote them. I'm looking at original documents. I am focusing on the original public meaning because I'm constrained to interpret the text. I am not importing my personal views or policy preferences. The entire exercise is about trying to understand what those who created this policy or this law intended.
And hey, that's great.
Yeah, I think that is super based. That's definitely the way that I think about the law as well. Like, the job of judges, the job of the courts in general is not to reinterpret the law and to insert like new laws and like new reinterpretation of the law. It's, as much as it sucks in certain cases where it's like in a lot of drug crimes, for example, I don't think drug laws should be a thing, and I wish that, like, it would be nice if I were in a jury to say, you know what, I don't believe this law is a thing, so I'm just going to say this person isn't guilty and not fine them. Or if I were a judge, it would feel great to say that. Like, okay, I'm just going to sentence you to no time, even though you're guilty of this. It's like, okay, well, no, that's not your job as a court. If the courts are just allowed to interpret the law willy-nilly, you run into all sorts of problems. We need objective adherence to the law. One big problem with a lot of dictatorships is that they applied the law or they would interpret the law based on just the whims of the justices, the whims of the state, which was a major problem, because then you basically just have unlimited power as a government to determine who you want to throw in prison, what exactly you want to do, which is tyranny by definition almost. So I think it's important to keep those functions separate, keep the legislature separate from the judges. The legislator, they write the laws. The judges, they don't question what the legislator writes, unless it violates the Constitution, of course. But the judges, they don't question that. But also the Constitution, oh gosh, we're going on a tangent. The Constitution, determining whether something violates the Constitution is the job of the Supreme Court, not necessarily the lower courts, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, actually. So the purpose of the judges, enforce the law, or not enforce the law, determine whether someone violated the law. The purpose of the legislator is to write it, and they shouldn't, like, the judges shouldn't rewrite the law, essentially, in the most long-winded way possible to explain it.
To the extent that you believe her, is that sincere philosophy? Is that just lip service? I'd say decide for yourself, but Jackson and her team have already decided for you. The exact opposite is their argument to justify her sentencing in the child porn cases. In that situation, the text and the intent of the statutory authors is not, in fact, constraining. It is not, in fact, the most important consideration. All of that is secondary to the judge's view of how modern times change the application of that law.
The original law was...
No, I think there's a difference between sentencing and interpreting the law as it's written. Like, if she started saying, like, oh, this isn't necessarily illegal because when this law was written, it didn't account for digital child porn. So digital child porn doesn't need to be illegal. Like, we don't need to prosecute those people. That would be a problem. That would be a reinterpretation based on her own beliefs. However, sentencing someone lower than sentencing guidelines, that is a contextual thing that requires the judge's discretion. So I think there is a huge difference here, and it's not a contradiction of her philosophy opposing judicial activism to say that in certain contexts I will sentence below in most contexts I will sentence below the sentencing guidelines. There's a huge difference between those two things. Now, if those guidelines were mandatory, then I do think that it would be a problem if she sentenced below those, because then she wouldn't be following the law. However, when those guidelines are just recommendations, and it's still up to the judge to determine how long how much those sentences should be.
It was written at least 9 or 10, maybe longer, years ago, and the quantity of material was relevant to the sentencing. And now that we have computer access to voluminous amounts of material, it has raised questions, has it not, within the judiciary as to the appropriate sentencing in today's circumstances.
The guideline was based originally on a statutory scheme and on directives, specific directives by Congress at a time in which more serious child pornography offenders were identified based on the volume, based on the number of photographs that they received in the mail. And that made total sense before, when we didn't have the internet, when we didn't have distribution. But the way that the guideline is now structured is leading to extreme disparities in the system, because it's so easy for people to get volumes of this kind of material now.
Okay, but even if we grant changes in technology,
Yes, so this is a contextual difference. This is a difference in the context of the cases that she's seeing. So the difference here is, like, when you're changing your sentencing based on the context of the case, I think that is perfectly fine and not a reinterpretation of the law. Yeah, but that's what I've kind of been explaining already.
technology and disparate outcomes as concerns, the question is, concerns for whom? Who writes the law that should consider these factors? Is that Congress's job? Or is that a judge's job? Jackson told us just 10 minutes prior to this exchange that is not a judge's job. Yet here she is accepting and expanding on Durbin's premise that Congress didn't get it done, so now it's up to her to do it from the bench.
And in fact, what we're doing.
No, so the issue is Congress has a law that applies, like, very specifically to certain cases that were in the past. If they wanted to create like new mandatory sentences for modern digital cases, then they would they would have to write a new law because of that. Because right now the law is written in a way where it's vague enough to where different contexts allow for certain sentencings to end up tending to need to be below the sentencing guidelines, which is why I think it was 59% of judges sentenced below the guidelines for these types of things.
Dealing with here is an issue which even this committee and members on the committee have been loath to address again.
Congress tells judges what we're supposed to do when we sentence. But as it currently stands, the way that the law is written, the way that Congress has directed the Sentencing Commission appears to be not consistent with how these crimes are committed. And therefore, there's extreme disparity, as you pointed out.
Right. So it's Congress's job, unless Congress does a bad job, because then it's my job. And the only measure of bad is what? Her own subjective personal opinions, she originally said, have nothing to do with her decision-making as a judge. And for my money, without...
No, but the argument is that these guidelines apply to a different context. They don't apply to this context. They were created... When you actually look at how they were written, how this law was written, it was not written to apply to this context. It was written to apply for, like, receiving photographs in the mail. So,
diminishing the seriousness of the other issues, that was the most disqualifying moment of these hearings. Awfully ironic, considering that was the first exchange designed to protect her from the damage to come. But all the damage was already done by her own reasoning and that of her handlers, which makes it even worse to me, because this is what she explained with preparation and forethought. This is not something she was trapped into by a stressful moment or some surprise attack. What she said there is that the law as it's written is the most important unless and until I decide it was written poorly, in which case, as it's written is not the most important, my own personal discretion is. That is not the philosophy of a neutral arbiter, as she claimed to be. That is the philosophy of a queen who believes that she holds the ultimate right to transform the law as she wants it to be, not apply the law as it was written, even if it was.
no, she's still applying the law as written, but she's applying it in a context. But I don't know. I'm just going to keep repeating myself. I don't think these guidelines are intrinsic guidelines that the judge necessarily has to follow that's not the way they were written, and that's not the way that they should be written either, in my opinion. I think we do need to leave some judicial discretion based on the context of the crime. That's not saying that she's not applying the law. She's still applying the law. She's applying it in a context. So the sentencing needs to reflect that, I think.
Written poorly, badly, or unwisely. That's not a philosophy
And yeah, I can react to your video after this one is done. I need to focus.
that belongs anywhere on the bench, but at least in lower courts, that thinking can be overturned. Put that thinking on the Supreme Court, though, and as we've seen with way too many landmark cases prior, it creates new law out of thin air that applies to everybody in the entire country with a lifetime appointment to do it, and no direct accountability to the people. When laws are bad or insufficient, the mechanism to fix them is exactly that. It's the people through their chosen representation, not the supposed wisdom of unelected black-robed elites. That is the principle on which this nomination ought to be opposed. But like many other political lessons these days, it looks like we're content to learn this one the hard way rather than think about it carefully ahead of time. But I guess if Jackson just proved anything, it's that thinking about things ahead of time is highly overrated. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Gab.
Awesome. So yeah, I think I said everything that needed to be said, and if I keep going, I'm just going to repeat myself. So I will end this particular reaction and move on to Momo. Okay, what is this Momo thing that you're talking about? YouTubers react to Momo. React. Wow, what a great channel. Oh, it's this stuff. Okay. This just seems boring. Oh my gosh. Like, what? I feel like this is just going to be a boring video. It's just going to... I'll look at it. I mean, you asked for it. But if this isn't good, I'm... Oh. Interesting. Why is it not letting me watch it? Wow. In my child porn video, you're trying to get me to watch... What the fuck? Oh, hell no. I don't like that. Yeah, let's, It's, like, not loading. Oh, yeah, what the fuck? React to Crowder versus the Rolling Stones guy? I might do that. I would watch it, but it's it just does, it's not loading. Huh. Is it this one? Oh no, I'm gonna probably agree with Crowder on this video, but yeah, okay. Let's watch the let's watch this video. This is recommended to me by Tremendous Pain in the comment section. So let's take a look.
Here's a PubMed, NCBI, and like this is a medical journal. So I mean, like,
hold on a second. Let me actually. Hold on a second. You know what? Okay, you know what? Just hold it up for me. Hold it up for me. 0.0018%, almost 100 times lower than Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
So it is because they're.
Like, can you hold that up to the camera?
Okay, just before we start this, I'm gonna give my kind of opinion on this. I think I'm open to the idea that that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, as long as the biological advantage given to them through puberty, through growing up a male, through training as a male for so long, as long as that is eliminated, then I am perfectly fine with trans women competing in women's sports. However, the issue is it doesn't seem like there's good science on that confirms that, and it seems like as more science comes out, it seems like going through a male puberty and training in a sport throughout that, it gives you certain advantages throughout the rest of your life that growing up a woman, going through a woman's puberty, that woman just can't, like, you can't reverse those changes, really. Even with a lot of HRT. Why does my camera keep breaking? Yeah. That even with... that even if you like reverse those changes for a while through HRT, you're not going to be able to fully eliminate that advantage. So I'm actually probably going to agree with Crowder in this particular video. But yeah, if you want to do more research on that, I would highly recommend doing it. I don't necessarily have time to go and just do a ton of research. I actually, in the past, I used to argue that trans women should compete in women's sports because I thought that the HRT would completely reverse it. But I think going through, I think from the evidence that I've seen, it seems like now the science is starting to point more in the other direction, where it's like, hey, if you go through puberty as a man, you train through that puberty as a man. That's like training on intense levels of steroids, because a male puberty is like is like insanely strong steroids. And that's just not fully reversible. Like the fact that I weightlifted throughout high school and weightlifting throughout college means that my body is going to have certain advantages that I just really can't reverse. As long as I'm like lifting a little bit to maintain that weight, I don't have to train as hard as someone who's like 25 and is trying, even a man who's 25 and trying to get into weightlifting and trying to build strength. But yeah, let's actually get into the video, because I am going off some tangents.
Welcome back to part 2 of our Change My Mind installment, specifically on the topic that biological males should not compete in women's sports. Well, at least that's what it was supposed to be. See, yesterday I sat down and spoke with Isaac, and although we disagreed, we had a productive, almost hour-long discussion. But in case you've forgotten, civility wasn't exactly on everybody's mind that day. And these are adults acting this way in college. At UNT, the Harvard of Denton County, no less. And I had to wonder, why would college students ever think it's acceptable to behave this way? Enter one of their self-described mentors, Stephen Monticelli.
All right, so it's okay. We're comfortable with our masculinity. The more you can move in, the better.
All right, so we can actually. Oh, you got the mic on the desk.
Oh, there you go. Here, I'll have it on you.
That?
Your name is Stephen?
That's right, Stephen.
Monticelli is a contributing writer at Rolling Stone and the Daily Beast, where he specializes in leftist talking points and attacking college students. He's even made an appearance on CNN's New Day.
That's right.
Also, this noted Inspector Gadget impressionist who cosplays as Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think I might just need to deactivate my camera because it's being very obnoxious right now. Let's try disconnecting, reconnecting. Let's move some stuff around, actually. Let's see if that works. Is it gonna sit there? Okay. Sorry about all these technical difficulties. This is probably gonna go on YouTube too, but okay. Activate, and then hopefully it's gonna be fine. I know, my camera is terrible right now. I kind of need a new one, but let's
enthusiast had clearly been waiting for Change My Mind to come to UNT, the Harvard of Denton County, for quite some time, and he just couldn't hide his enthusiasm.
All right, good. You spell it PH or V?
The V.
Same way, very nice. Fewer letters means a cooler name. Last name?
Monticelli, I'll spell it for you.
Okay.
Monaceli.
So, German.
Italian.
Boy, missed all of that one.
Missed it by that much.
Just a little bit, but you know, both those countries have a certain history for a certain type of politics, but we're not here to talk about that today.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know how I got that one wrong. It's almost like I wasn't even trying.
Oh, look, the sense of humor mobile. It's not stopping here.
So, Steve, Steve, how do you prefer?
Steven.
By the way, I like this jacket. Can I?
Thanks. Yeah, go for it.
Is it a raincoat or is
It's
it
just like a cotton jacket, been like I guess surplus.
Okay.
Military
well, the whole
surplus.
outfit works.
Thanks.
So, Steve,
Are they gonna start
I don't know how
talking?
familiar you are at all with what we do with this kind of installment is, but it's basically a
The
way where
intro
we
is
can
way too
hopefully
long.
rationalize our positions on controversial topics. A lot of the times, people can have somewhat rational conversations on topics that maybe don't evoke an emotional response, and then it all goes out the window. And as you've seen here on college campuses with dancing Yoda and people throwing milkshakes and screaming and all these kinds of things, which we generally like to avoid.
Now, spoiler alert, this is about to go sideways very quickly.
So today's topic is one obviously we planned for a while, but
Jesus Christ, 3 minutes of intro just trying to be funny, like, look at all these crazy leftists. Like, dude, I want to fucking watch the video. Let me watch the video. I want to watch the discussion. Jeez, I want my mind to be changed, but I have to sit through 3 minutes of Crowder trying to be funny. Jesus.
Now it's in the news because of Leah Thomas. I don't believe that biological males should be allowed to compete with women, biological females in women's sports. If you disagree with me, I'm more than happy to hear your case and let you change my mind.
So I guess before we get into it, what is your definition of the term biological female? Is that something that would include people who are assigned female at birth that were born intersex?
So this is interesting that you're bringing up this point intersex. You're talking about the 0.01% of the population.
Okay, why is he asking this question? He knows what Crowder means. He knows that Crowder means that by biological female, he knows Crowder means assigned female at birth. I don't understand why we have to like clarify questions that you already kind of know the answer to. Like, Crowder's a conservative, so he thinks that men are people who are assigned male at birth and females are people who are assigned female at birth. Or women are people that were assigned female at birth. It's not that difficult.
It's about 1.5, 1.7, because there are surgeries that are done to babies when they're born, and then they assign them a gender.
So let me address two different points here.
Sure.
First off, what I'm saying with biological males and females is the overwhelming majority of people, of course, across the globe since the beginning of time, who are born.
I guess with the intersex question, it's technically true that there's some people who are men, like, who have dicks, who look like who everyone could call a biological male, who don't have XY chromosomes. But that's a whole other thing. But there's different things with that. Like, I think you could have XXY and still like have a dick, look like a guy, be completely indistinguishable all your life from a biological male, but then you're still technically intersex. So, like, I don't know. That's just kind of where the or the XY versus XX definition for male female kind of breaks down. But I don't know. That's not super important.
As a male or as a female, you can go not only by chromosomes but secondary sex
So, like,
characteristics.
if there's are there 100 people here?
Hold on, let me finish. And then I'll address your second point.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Sure.
So doctors, for example, fill out male or female. Now we're talking about sex, right? We're not talking about identified gender. I'm assuming that you would agree that sex is a biological term and gender is
There's a
social
difference between.
I understand that's how gender theory is presented, certainly in gender studies on college campus.
Sure.
With intersex, it's about 0.01% of the population, and the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate statistic.
It is an accurate statistic.
I can pull it.
Yeah, that's right. Male and female humans have distinct skeletal structures. I think that's true. But I think technically, like, I don't know. There's differences, but a lot of those like descriptive differences, those would fall along a curve where some like females will be more masculine in those things. So I think really the best way to distinguish between male and female male and female in a biological sense would be that, like, biological males are the people who produce sperm, biological females are the people who produce eggs. And I don't think there's really any overlap there. I don't think there's like, you either do one or the other, I think, from my understanding. I think gametes is the best way to do it, but.
And the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate statistic.
It is an accurate statistic.
I can pull up
and
the
I'll make
Google
all the
statistic
references available.
right now. It's 1.5%.
1.5%.
Sorry.
Majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not.
By gender.
I was thinking about
assuming that you would agree
So
that
you
sex
agree
is a biological term and gender is
There's
a social
difference between.
I understand that's how gender theory is presented, certainly in gender studies on college campus.
Sure.
With intersex, it's about 0.01% of the population, and the vast majority of them,
Once again, it's
the vast majority of them don't require any kind of a sex change.
That's actually not an accurate statistic.
It is an accurate statistic.
I can pull up
and
the
I'll make
Google
all the
statistic
references available.
right now. It's 1.5%.
1.5% of the population is not intersex.
Well, they're born that
And
way.
even then, a very small percentage of them are improperly assigned with a.
Well, why don't we just look this up? Percent of population intersex. I feel like we'll see this. Between 0.05% and 1.7%. So it's okay. So it's literally like Crowder's just giving the lower estimate and the other dude's giving the higher estimate. Okay, whatever.
primary sex at birth. They usually have primary sexual characteristics, okay? So primary sexual characteristics, and very few have to end up going with some kind of a sex change operation later in life.
Because it's often done when they're children or when they're babies.
Right, or they're assigned male, female at birth, even if they're intersex.
I guess
Also,
that's
none
what
of
I'm
this
trying to get at.
matters.
Are you
None of this
talking about
matters for the
doing
conversation.
If we separate that, intersex, okay? So let's say we
Literally none of this matters for the trans sports conversation. Like, oh my god, this video is frustrating me. Like, please get to the point. We don't need to like deconstruct gender and deconstruct gender ideology here. Like, that's not necessarily what this conversation is about. This conversation is ultimately about whether or not taking enough HRT can change someone who was assigned male at birth, can make them, who went through puberty as a male, can turn them into, or can reduce their athletic advantage down to the level where they can compete against women and not have a significant, or can compete against cis women and not have a biological advantage.
Why should we?
No, I'm saying let's say we allow intersex to compete in the division they choose.
How do you prove that they're in? How do you even get to that question of?
I feel like intersex should probably compete in male. I think we need a protected cis women category. I think that's my position.
Are you or are you not? Are you asking then that there has to be a box that people have to tick that they were intersex?
I'm confused by you presenting the argument here because you asked me about intersex.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is there are edge cases here that I don't think that your presentation actually encompasses. And
I just
furthermore,
encompassed it.
So if people are allowed, so that someone who is born with both female and male sex characteristics.
There you go. Now you've got it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then there are surgeries that are done to them. But someone would have to ask them that.
Yes.
So are you proposing that people are asked that?
What I'm saying is if someone is intersex, let's allow that to be an exception.
So how
let's
do
say
we
that someone
know
with
that
intersex can
the
compete
case?
in any division they want to.
How do we know
They would have to declare if they're intersex.
So you're at
and it would be submitted. They would obviously be examined by a doctor.
Ooh, do we think intersex should be able to compete in a division of their choosing? Maybe. It probably would have to be determined, like, because most intersex people usually fall closer to one or the other, from my understanding, and usually a surgery is done at birth to like make them fall more in line with that. So it should probably be determined by that, maybe, or by default, if it's like literally indistinguishable, probably put them with the males, because you don't want to have the because we created a women's category because women are at a biological disadvantage and we want to see more women succeed in these sports. But that's actually a more interesting question. But
just as the women are in women's sports and men are in men's sports, just as they have to submit to not only blood sampling for drug tests, hair follicle sampling, often nail scrapings, right? We both know that physicals are conducted in all sports.
Oh my God, I don't
to separate
care.
For what? Sex, right? To separate for
I want
weight,
to talk about
to separate for.
I want to talk about
when
the trans women in sports
when I was
question.
a kid, no one
my
ever
God.
inspected my genitals.
Really?
No.
You never had to turn your head and cough?
Well, that wasn't for doing sports. That's called a physical. That's a medical thing that was separate from being able to do sports.
Yeah, so you never had to do a full medical?
I mean,
So you must not have played sports at a high level.
They weren't really
Everyone
concerned
has to
about-
pass a medical.
So-
You do realize that at Division I sports, you would have to pass a medical. You know
so
why?
the medical would be a description of your genitals. Would that?
It would include it.
It would include a written description and a verbal description.
Yes.
Really?
This medical examination, would include the description of your vitals,
Okay.
of your health, of your health parameters.
So I guess now that we've gone through that, what is?
But we haven't gone through that.
What is the reason that you're?
We haven't gone through that. You haven't
So
answered
if you're
me.
concerned, if you're less concerned about intersex
Move
people,
off
then
this
why are you so
topic,
concerned
please.
about transgender people?
Crowder, why are you sticking to this topic?
Again, I was answering your question. You asked about
Well,
intersex.
they both get surgeries. Sometimes they both need hormone treatment. What's your position against? If you're okay with one, why are you not okay with the other?
Here's exactly why. First off, you're taking an extreme example to make a point, misrepresenting those statistics. It's not 1.5% of the population.
Please,
Please
move. Please
you won't
move
find
off
a
the
single
example.
position in the country.
According to experts, 1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits.
Pause a second. Let's analyze his Googling technique.
I'll just
Find a
Google
position
it.
in the country.
It's fine.
You won't find a single position in the country.
According to experts,
A two-click Google search. It's
Ooh, that's weird.
almost as if he had the whole thing planned out. Poorly.
1.7% of the population is born with intersex traits. It's
That's
just,
from amnesty.org.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, I can just like keep. I can go
It's
to.
from Amnesty.org.
I mean, it's from there's Wikipedia. There's plenty
Yes,
of.
Amnesty and Wikipedia. Okay.
There's
I'll make
here's
my
a
references
PubMed
available.
NC.
Okay, this is dumb. I think let's see. So it's possible, for one, that he could have just pulled up something beforehand, which it seems like that's probably what he did. But also Crowder's immediate dismissal, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to automatically dismiss these sources. It's like, okay, that's a little weird. Like, that's kind of anti-intellectual. Like, where else are you going to get? I mean, I think it would be better if you, like, actually typed it in, showed Crowder what he was typing, then, like, clicked enter, and then, yeah. Like, similar to what I did. But also the immediate dismissal is a little sus, but I don't know.
and like this is a medical journal. So
And also, this none of this matters. Like, none of this has anything to do with the trans and sports topic. Like, we're almost 9 minutes in, and we haven't talked about trans sports a single time. Crowder, what are you doing? Why are you dwelling on this point? It feels like Crowder's just afraid to get into an actual discussion.
I mean, like,
Hold
look,
on a second. Let me actually. Hold on a second. You know what? Okay, you know what? Just hold it up for me. Hold it up for me.
anyone that
Hold it up for me.
wants to do this.
That was the most soy face ever. Hey, don't touch my phone. That was weird.
You just brought up PubMed, and it didn't
Yeah.
reflect what you just reflected.
So abstract.
0.0018%, almost 100 times lower than Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
So it is because they are.
Like, can you
talking
hold that
about
up to the camera?
chromosomal Sex.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
Inconsistent.
Can you hold that up to the
phenotypic
camera?
Sex. Yeah. So let's see.
Can you hold it up to the camera?
There's a debate about this, which is what we're having.
Pause. Now, if you notice the shift, and I mean increase in my enthusiasm, it's because I was intensely familiar with the PubMed paper he was attempting to cite. And by cite, I mean blatantly misrepresent. And by blatantly misrepresent, I mean lie about. And this is the real value of Change My Mind in the conversations being included in their full context unedited. It's one thing to be able to lie about numbers to unsuspecting students in order to score political points. It's another to face accountability in real time. So let's rewind and zoom in and enhance on his screen. Unfortunately, the tech isn't good enough to get a crystal clear picture, but here's the actual PubMed article abstract. If the term intersex is to retain any meaning, the term should be restricted to those conditions in which chromosomal sex is inconsistent with phenotypic sex, or in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true prevalence of intersex is seen to be about classifiable as either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true
Oh
prevalence.
my god, when I stream, my internet is garbage. Okay. That's an interesting definition, though. In which chromosomal sex should be that's a very restrictive definition, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about this study to be able to talk about it, but yeah, it seems like there is, yeah. So by that definition, that's the percentage. There's another estimate that's 1.7%. Yeah, so it seems like the initial Google search that I did, like, I don't know enough about this particular study. It seems like you need to look at multiple studies and kind of judge the estimates. So I'm guessing that apart from this restricted definition, because this is what it's saying, that the only way someone could be intersex is if they have XY, but like a vagina at birth, or XX but have a penis at birth. Like, it's kind of strange. Or in which the phenotype is not classifiable as either male or female. Okay, that's another possibility. It seems like a definitional difference. It depends how we define intersex, because I don't think that's a super objective thing either. Like, it seems like there's probably some ambiguity to that, but I'm not sure.
As either male or female. Applying this more precise definition, the true prevalence of intersex is seen to be about 0.018%, almost 100 times lower than the Fausto Sterling estimate of 1.7.
Can you hold it up to the camera?
There's a debate about this, which is what we're having. Yeah, you can.
No wonder the social justice warrior / handler of Curious George shoved his phone back in his pocket faster than a crack pipe at the bordello of Biden.
Yeah, you can Google.
But you didn't present it as a debate.
You can get different figures.
Hold on a second. Let me finish here because you just brought
Yeah,
up.
he's correct on that. You can get different figures, but Crowder ends up looking significantly better in this exchange because he just like used the study that the dude pulled up to debunk the dude. So it's like, why would you even pull up that study? That's strange.
Up Amnesty.org and Wikipedia.
Sure.
The only legitimate medical publication that you brought up said exactly what I said. What number did I give you? What number did I give you?
So then let's like put it into
What number
numbers.
did I give you?
If there are 100 people here
What
or
number did I
1,000
give you?
people here, if there are 100 people here or there are 1,000 people here, there's still going to be at least one person.
Look, if you're
There's
not
still
going
gonna be at least
if
one
truth
person.
doesn't matter to you, this isn't going to be a productive
I'm
conversation.
actually giving the numbers.
What number did I give to you?
So you gave me 0.1%?
0.01%.
0.01%.
What does that number from PubMed say?
Let's see. It says 0.08, which would be
0.018%.
0.018%.
Yeah, that's the number I gave you.
So let's see what PubMed just said.
That is PubMed. You just showed the PubMed.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull
Now
up
you're
the
going
same
back to
doc.
Amnesty.org, or you're going to Wikipedia. So my point is, look, you sit here and you spout numbers that are inaccurate.
Oh
when you
God, this dude is taking an L. You got to just move on. You can't keep fighting this point. Just say, okay, maybe you're right. Now let's move on to the next thing. Like, oh God. Like, it's possible that maybe with more research you could find different numbers. You probably can find different numbers. The initial Google search I did said usually they range between like that low estimate and then that like 1.7% one. But you just got to move on, man. You can't be doing Google searches in front of, like, in the middle of a debate. It's just not smart because you're going to waste time. You're going to sometimes pull up things that you need to think a little bit more about and do some independent thought on. You're going to come up with all sorts of different numbers all over the place. You have to do the research on your own time. Present it later.
go to one legitimate medical journal, it says that it's actually 1,000 times lower. So do we want to have a
This is also some kind of why I don't necessarily like Googling, like going through all these Google searches on stream, because I need time to like parse over the data, think about it a little bit, compare it with other figures, and actually try to gain a broader understanding. You don't really have the time to do all of that when you're just like, oh, let's find this number really quick. A lot of times you'll look for stuff and you won't find necessarily the exact number that you're looking for. And it's just hard to do when you're streaming or when you're debating someone. It's just, yeah, it's not... You have to do the preparation beforehand. Like, if I'm going to do a stream, for example, where I am going to talk about something where I want to cite a bunch of statistics, like if I'm going to do an immigration stream where I'm going to talk about how like immigrants how immigrants commit less crime than natives, for example, I would go through, look at all the studies, look at a bunch of stuff, and then I would come in with the stuff that I actually think is relevant and actually want to talk about. This is kind of what I did with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. It's not the same like with the numbers and stuff, but I like actually went in beforehand, prepared a bunch of tabs. If you watch the video, you can see like on the top of my screen there's was a bunch of tabs up there with different things, and I just would go through those and talk about them. Yeah, you have to do your research before you talk about stuff. Otherwise, you're gonna look dumb. And if you're in that situation, you should just, if you want to cite a statistic, you should know how to easily access it. Or if you don't know how to easily access it, just don't bring it up. Just say, this is the stat I've seen. Go ahead, fact check me if you want. It's possible I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. That's what I typically do in streams because I don't have the time to do a shit ton of Googling and research.
conversation about the topic at hand, or do you want to keep embarrassing yourself with wrong numbers?
So, if you're going to accept that there are people in this world, no matter how rare that you think that they are, that you're going to allow to participate in sports.
No matter how rare your own sources said they are.
No matter how rare that there are in existence, it doesn't matter what you think or what I think, they exist.
The numbers are the numbers. Go ahead.
You believe that they exist?
Of course I believe it.
0.018%
according to
PubMed. So there are people in this state, in this city,
yes,
who would fit that categorization, and just because there are a small number of them, you're going to just kind of disregard the
example. What number of them require some kind of sex change? What number of them require
Why is that so threatening to you?
It's not threatening to me.
It seems like it is.
Well, what's bothering to me is your dishonesty.
So I'll
this is a red
grant your
herring.
number. I'll grant your number, and my argument is still the same.
So what's the number of people there who are not accurately defined at birth by their primary and secondary sexual characteristics?
So once again,
it's about
why is this?
0.2% of 0.01.8% of the population.
And so because
Now, that's
and
This is terrible. This argument, oh my god, it makes me, it makes me want to do things to myself that I don't think YouTube would approve of me saying. Oh god, this is how, I don't know. I feel like this is how you get people. This is how you increase the suicide rate. Let's just say that. This is how you increase the suicide rate in America. Producing videos like this where the dude starts making a point at the beginning, never actually really makes an argument, and they just get bogged down on one point that is kind of related, but not really, kind of relevant to the topic, but actually completely irrelevant, and then bogged down and you're 13 minutes in a video. All of our time has been wasted. Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
The
percentage of
that's a
people that are
very
competing
small-
in sports that are transgender? What's that number of the population? What's that
The
percentage?
number of transgender people. in the
Percentage of the
population is
total
about
population.
1%.
Yeah, and that are
now,
competing in
as
sports.
far as the categories that they enter, they end up winning about 66%, for example, in track, upwards of 90% in strength sports like powerlifting and Olympic lifting. That's significant.
See, that's true. And also, it's just the principle as well. Like, if a certain group of people has a large advantage, even if there's not that many of them, they still probably shouldn't be allowed in the sport. Like, let's say there's some drug that someone can take, and it makes them able to lift, 2 times as heavy of weights. But it's super expensive, so only, 0.01% of powerlifters can even purchase it. Should people who take it be allowed to compete? Probably not, right? But I think that's the same sort of principle. And then let's say that drug, after you boost your strength by so much, you can't fully reverse it. Those effects linger on. I think those people should be banned from the sport.
So even though they make up 1% of the population when they enter into female sports, they overwhelmingly tend to dominate, and this is a very small sample size. So my question to you is, what do we do? Because you're supposed to sit here and
Are we
change
going to
their
start talking about genetics as it relates to people winning sports? Is that what you want to do? Is that what you're asking?
Male and female sports are separated by biology, yes?
I mean, what's the point of sports?
To win.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Why is that funny?
It just tells me a lot about who you are.
The point of sports is not to win?
I think a lot of people think there's more than one point to sports.
I mean, so much of sports is people getting sweaty and rubbing around with each other.
What's the point to winning an Olympic medal?
God.
I don't know. I mean, why do we have the Olympics?
To identify who the best is at sport.
What is the historical reason why we have the Olympics?
Do you mean you want to go back to pancration?
I mean, do we want to talk about, the modern
You want to go back
reinvention
to,
of it?
Okay, so
Fascist politics, all that kind of stuff.
So you believe that people are competing, for example, in swimming, decathlon, biathlon, because of fascist politics?
I think that the overarching mindset that sports is about, declaring dominance and that there's some sort of actual value.
Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What? This is not a trans sports conversation. This is this dude wanting to. What the fuck is this? Sports. What? What's the point of sports? What is this conversation? Oh my god, this is what? Now we're talking about whether sports are fascistic or not. Dude, I don't care. Sports are fun. I like playing sports. I don't we're talking about whether or not trans people should be in sports. I don't want a philosophical conversation on the purpose of sports. The purpose of sport probably be to have fun. The reason why I want to watch it, the purpose of sports, probably is also competition. Competition is fun. People enjoy it. That's why people do sports. People watch sports because it's fun to watch people perform athletic feats that are difficult for me to perform.
value in like this idea of international representation of dominance in sports. When did you ever have fun in your life? Like, you ever have fun playing sports?
I didn't say it's about representing international dominance.
No, but I'm saying is like, you said it's all about winning. So
I said, what is the point of sports? What is the point of sports?
I think sports is a lot about having fun and, you know, making relationships with people and
Do you think
camaraderie.
it's fun to make the Olympic medaling platform? Think that's fun?
Go on, think. Is it fun? No, sir. No. No, sir. Absolutely not? Zero fun, sir. All right.
It's probably, I mean, they probably enjoy it. I mean, I think part of it also is like working on yourself and becoming the best at something can end up building a lot of pride, which isn't necessarily the same as like having fun. I think there's kind of two purposes in that sense. Like, you want to become extremely good at something, and watching yourself sort of develop from not being able to do something super well into like an Olympic athlete. I feel like that builds a lot of pride. It builds a lot of confidence in yourself, which I think is a really good thing. I mean, that's arguably a better meaning than just having fun. Yeah, because that like gives your life like building pride, becoming the best in the world at something like that builds immense confidence in yourself, and that gives your life meaning. That gives your life purpose, which is different from like just playing sports to have fun. But here's the thing, like this question of what is the purpose of sports is a dumb question because of different purposes for different people. It's kind of stupid to try to essentialize the purpose of sports for people. And then trying to analyze it at a socio-political level. Like, also, this is completely disconnected from the trans sport conversation. I think sports are interesting, but yeah. Gary, don't you have a video about individualist sports versus collectivist sports? I have a video where I talk about my preference of sports that I like to play. And I prefer sports where I play individually. Like, I prefer tennis, running. I like those more than team sports because I feel like I have more control over the outcome. I think that's the biggest reason. But that doesn't have anything to do with like ideology, like political, like, oh, individualism versus collectivism. I'm not like saying, oh, basketball is bad because it's collectivist. And it's just like I prefer sports where I feel like I have a lot more control over my performance.
I mean, it must provide a sense of...
Oh, and that's a personal preference, by the way. And I'm not like saying, oh, those sports are superior to other. Like, no, that's stupid.
Accomplishment.
Why?
A sense of joy because they worked hard to get there.
And the joy and accomplishment comes from what?
Working hard to get there, I guess.
Wouldn't you going to great lengths to avoid the term of winning a medal?
I mean, hey, if you get second place and you're a spoiled brat about it, I think a lot of people would think you're kind of lame.
Do you think that the Olympic silver medalist who took second place to Leah Thomas, who wouldn't be ranked top 500 in the male division, is being a spoiled brat?
Well, what is your solution? Would you want to create...
Collective sports can be great if you have great chemistry in the team. That's true. I love basketball, and like I have a soccer game tonight at 8:30. So like I love playing sports. It's just a preference thing. It's just a personal preference.
An entirely separate category for transgender people in sports?
If you want to, we can. Otherwise,
no, that's not what I want to. I'm asking what you want.
Yeah, I think biological males should compete with biological males.
I'm asking specifically about transgender and intersex people now. Where do you think they should compete in sports?
Well, let's separate transgender and intersex because intersex people don't want to be lumped in with transgenders.
I mean, who are you to speak for them? Are you
I'm
intersex?
letting them speak for them.
Are you telling me something about yourself?
I'm letting them speak for them, but I'm sure you'll find statistics that will prove you wrong and bolster what I'm discussing right now. Intersex people don't want to be lumped in with transgender individuals because there is a biological...
Okay, one thing I want to mention, though, because he kind of touched on this a little bit, but they're not like actually getting to the point at all. One thing he said, his suggestion was that biological males should compete with biological males. So like trans women should compete with males. But I guess one issue that I have with this is what happens when you apply this to the female side? Do we allow trans men who are jacking themselves full of testosterone and male hormones to compete with cis women? I don't think we should. So as a result, I think it might be more useful to have a cis women category and then an everyone else category. I think that ultimately might be the best solution. But then there's also the issue of like trans people then are never going to be able to compete. So maybe we could make a trans league for the different genders. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. But destroying women's sports, like this women's space, is just not a very good idea. It's very like anti-woman, it feels like, because then if you do that, like you're Serena Williams, no one would know who she is. No one would watch the female USA soccer team, which was like actually like a really proud moment for a lot of women, I feel like. So I feel like that all of that, it's like, and I think the female soccer team got beat by a group of high school guys, like the professional USA women's soccer team. So it's like, do we want to just completely destroy these women's spaces? That's really the question when it comes to trans sports.
Biological issue. There's not a biological issue with transgender individuals. It is a societal issue. It's a social
Is it a
issue.
biological issue that you would never make a basketball team because you can't jump?
That I can't jump?
Yeah.
Why are you making that presumption?
I'm just kind of following this logic to where
Are
it
you
might
racist?
conclude.
Because he's white.
No, I'm asking, are you?
You're asking, am I racist?
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you're so obsessed with certain types of people winning certain types of categories as if there's some sort of
Males and
biological...
females? Yeah.
So you're an
You believe it's a figment of
essentialist.
my-
Wait, what the fuck? How did race get brought into this? What? He's making this weird connection like, oh, I'm interested in people of a certain biology being able to win. And like, and that means that you're interested in, you know, white people being able to win because you like when white people win and don't like when black people win. So you are racist. You not supporting trans women in women's sports means that you're racist because you care a lot about biology, don't ya? What?
My imagination.
You're an essentialist.
Oh, well, let's throw that to Maroon.
God, I hate that I'm defending Crowder here. Like, this dude is so fucking stupid. Holy shit. Like, what? How is this dude not been fired from his journalist job? Like, I feel like if with this level of thought, it feels like you wouldn't be able to write a coherent article. I guess as a Rolling Stone journalist, I don't, isn't that music stuff? I don't know. But I don't know. With his level of political engagement, it seemed he's getting steamrolled in a debate by Steven Crowder. What? Steven Crowder, the same dude who backed out of a debate with Sam Seder. And Sam Seder's not like an intellectual powerhouse. I mean, Sam Seder's smart, but he's not like, I don't know. I don't think Sam Seder's an intellectual powerhouse who I would be scared to debate. Like, and this dude is getting steamrolled by Crowder. What?
What do you mean that I'm an essentialist, that I believe biological males should compete against biological males?
Well, I mean, you just talk about biological males and females so much that it essentializes.
Oh, also, the ideological brain rot on this guy. Just saying, so he's like connecting him to essentialism. He's like, okay, so because you care about the differences between biological males and biological females, you are an essentialist. Now, because you're an essentialist, essentialism also relates to views on race and also relates to views on all sort like other stuff. Like, let me think. Race, sex. I'm not thinking of any others. I feel stupid right now. But yeah, essentialism is similar to racism. Oh wait, so we go up that tree and apply this broad ideology to him, and then stick him to that. Okay, now we got him stuck to this. Now we got him stuck to this word, and now we can use this word to connect him to anything else. It's like these weird floating. This is rationalism, actually. It's these weird floating abstractions, and just using that to make these weird word games connections that are just completely broken.
Gender into a binary that doesn't include all these people that we've just been talking about, and sex into a binary.
Did you ever see the debate where Crowder gets flustered debating a conservative socialist and kicks him out? I have seen that. That was an embarrassment for Crowder. Also, my camera's glitching again. I'm just going to leave it until it breaks. I don't know. I think I need to buy a new camera.
Well, and sex.
Yeah.
You said gender.
And sex, yeah.
I didn't mention gender, I mentioned sex.
Well, I'm talking about both. Yeah, I would
I'm
say.
not.
Well, then let's just focus on sex. You are creating an essentialist
Biological
binary.
males compete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if you are saying that it is not binary, sex, then you are suggesting that.
One issue Crowder does a lot too. He interrupts a lot. He loves to interrupt.
There should be a third division.
I feel like Crowder likes to hear himself talk. He thinks he's so funny. He thinks he's so smart. He just wants to talk. But I mean, he comes off more intelligent in this debate than the other guy. But that's because they're not really talking about anything. All it is this journalist having like just a schizo moment, basically, like where he just can't make any connections, make any arguments. He's just making all these weird connections and calling sports fascistic and saying that people who don't believe trans women should compete with women are essentialists. That means they're racist. It's like all these weird. I don't know. It feels like we're witnessing Crowder talking to someone who's like schizo posting right now. It's kind of weird. Is that ableist to say? I don't know.
Not necessarily.
What's your solution?
I'm saying we should maybe stop taking sports so damn seriously and let people compete and create structures for competing that aren't so damn politicized. How about that?
How about no?
Okay, great. So women should just shut up and take it.
Also, these clips are so cringe. Why do people think that's funny? Like inserting these clips into the middle of, I don't know. I don't get it, but I don't know. I'm also not like a movie person who does movie references. I find like references to stuff kind of cringe in general, but I don't know. Some people enjoy it.
Taking it too seriously. Women are taking it too
I don't
seriously.
think that's what I think you're taking it too seriously.
No, I'm saying women out there are taking it too seriously.
Talk to a woman. There's plenty of women here. Talk to a woman.
Yeah, I have. I've spoken with many
What
women.
did she say?
But there's also
What
the
did they
empirical
say?
data. They of course don't want biological males to compete in women's sports.
All right, so I'm going to give
Yeah,
up my
that's a
seat
female
now.
athlete.
Is there a woman who would like to speak to him?
Pause. It's funny he should ask.
What a king, giving up his seat so that a woman can speak. Yes, getting more women to speak. Let's go. I love it when women speak. Yes.
Because we just so happen to have talked to a female athlete, one of Leah Thomas's teammates, peers, if you will, at UPenn, to be exact, and here's what she had to say. That guy, Monticelli, seems to be uneducated. I would say that the way the rules are set up right now straight up deny women from equal educational opportunities in sport and discriminate against women by not recognizing the physical differences between men and women. And women shouldn't be forced to take a back seat in their own sport.
Any women?
Female athlete.
All right, cool. Hey, it's been nice, Steve.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
I appreciate it.
I don't know. And,
So no solution, no dog in the fight, just wrong sources.
It's insane how people can have has been 19 minutes. They just had a 19-minute discussion and they didn't talk about anything. It was kind of funny. Like, it was crazy. It was cool to watch. It's content, I guess. I can post something on my YouTube channel, but holy shit. Like, there was nothing there. I felt like I had to like insert like little bits of like actually interesting information just to make this bearable. Like, holy shit. Maybe something interesting will happen.
Conversation's been very productive.
I'd say, have fun.
Well, I feel like I also feel like this is kind of the state of the culture right now. It's like people have these talking points in their head and they just like start spewing them out rapidly at each other and just talk past each other and like randomly make connections and spew a talking point, spew another talking point, spew another one. And then it's like this weird mesh of words all coming together and just the garbled nonsense that we see. That's like what Twitter is. What, like, if you ever watch a debate panel, if you ever listen to people arguing about politics in general, that's what it is. People aren't actually talking to each other. They're just like trying to think about, what's the talking point that I memorized before this? I think this is it. I'll say that, and I'll just be very confident about it. And then, they said this thing that's vaguely related to this other thing that I've thought about, and it's like, oh God, please stop. Can people actually talk? Dude, I'm gonna cry. This has made me lose so much faith in the world.
Making it your career to go talk to college students who don't want to talk to you.
Don't be an asshole your whole life.
Now, given what's transpired, one might think that Mr. Monticelli would take the L.
But it's also kind of, I don't know, like, if you look at the beginning of this debate, they come in, both of them are immediately confrontational. Both of them immediately hate each other and are just looking to get dunks on the other person. And, I mean, Crowder's a more experienced speaker, it seems like. This dude probably knows how to write articles, but there's a difference between writing and speaking. Yeah, I definitely know that. Like, I don't know, it's like when I have time to sit, think, write stuff out, do some research on the side, then continue typing, it's a lot easier to be super clear and explain things super well. It's more difficult when you're speaking in the heat of the moment because you very much just have to rely on your subconscious. And it's hard to trust your subconscious sometimes. And then it's also, I mean, if your subconscious is full of confusion and garbage, it's hard to make stuff make sense. Sharonda's Payne said, who won? I don't know, but the world did not win from that conversation. Society definitely lost as a result of this conversation. I probably lost a few brain cells too as a result. Nobody really won. Everybody just lost. Everybody just lost countless brain cells from the last 19 minutes of what we've witnessed. Oh my god.
And never speak of it.
Yeah, is there anything else interesting in this video? I kind of want to stop. Yeah, it looks like it's just memes and Crowder being boring. Yeah. Let's put that to rest. If you've sat through this entire video, I commend you. If you sat through, because this is going on YouTube later, if you sat through this entire video, I commend you. I hope I made this shit show a little bit more entertaining. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Oh man. Yeah. Garrett, I saw a Zombie Hunter in a debate about libertarianism the other day. Maybe I'll look at that. I might have to end my stream soon though. I kind of want to eat and then I have soccer tonight, but I might look into, yeah, because my camera just keeps messing up. It's like, what is it doing? I'm sure maybe I just need a new camera. Jeez. Let's deactivate, reactivate, do it again. It's been happening so many times. Yeah, Philosophical Zombie Hunter is a smart dude. I enjoyed my conversation with him. It got a little heated in there. I feel like it would be useful for me. I feel like a conversation with him where we have a topic planned beforehand, sit down, talk about it, where I can bring in some like research and some studies related to this stuff. Because more what I was arguing in that video was regarding like hypothetically, if this study were to come out, would you change your mind? And that doesn't look so strong on my part. And it led to an odd conversation, where it was hard to really, like, I was arguing more like against taking an ideological approach, but I couldn't actually narrow down on like specifics. It felt very abstract, which was a problem. Zombie Hunter and Zombie Philosophical Zombie Hunter. Let me look him up. Let's transition. Got 90 subs. Which video was it? 70% study. Rose Wrist thinks gender dysphoria is bad. Friendly chat on free markets with Rose Wrist. I've heard of this person before. On Rose Wrist channel. Let me see if he posted that along with it. Let me see if it's down here. Link to original debate, maybe. Where is Roser's channel? Let me just look up Roserist. Debating a shifty libertarian. Is this the philosophical zombie hunter one? Maybe 2 days ago. God, why don't people post the person who they're debating in the description? Like, every time that I upload a video, I make sure that I post any person who appeared in it, any video that I watched. I don't usually post sources, though I probably should. That's usually, or did I do that with the Kyle Rittenhouse one? I don't know. I try to post as much as possible. If I use a source, I try to remember to post it. I try to post everything. Is this philosophical zombie hunter? Let's see.
Well, I'm just taking that the existence of protected classes and the ability to take your employers to court, for instance, over perceived discriminatory practices has a positive, negative, or no effect on the amount of discrimination that's going to occur in your society?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay.
You could have just said, look, these hairspray bottles causing the ozone, and customers would be concerned with that. And
just tell customers that, hey, this is bad for them, and then they will all stop using it. That seems.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, every country that wants to be cheaper.
So if this was true, then why did things?
Well, it's not true that everyone needs to stop using it. It's just you tell people that, and then a significant number of people might stop. But I don't know.
It's like the Rockefeller monopoly even exists. How could I even?
Well, I don't agree that there was a monopoly because he lowered prices every year.
I struggle to respond to stuff with no context. I don't really know how this conversation is developing. I might have to watch this. I really don't have time to watch a 2-hour video though. Yeah. I think I need to probably eat, and then I got soccer tonight. Let's go. That's gonna be fun. But I should talk to Philosophical Zombie Hunter again. I feel like we could have a good, productive conversation. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him about what specifically that was about, because our conversation was so long ago. But yeah, let's keep watching the preview.
Let's say you have an important bridge that's coming, like a vital part of like logistical moving, and you have somebody who's very wealthy who purchases that bridge, and now they want to charge a very high toll for people to get in and out of to travel across this bridge. What do you do? Yeah, which is very different from what you were saying, which is why I'm very skeptical to anything else you have to say, because you will just misrepresent things that you bring up.
Okay, let me just show a graph from the...
So now are we pivoting to something else right now, or what is this? Because you lied about what this study proved.
Fuck you, I'm not a liar. My name is Philosophical Zombie Hunter. I am...
Oh, I feel like this is going to be an entertaining debate. Jeez. Okay. Yo, I feel like I should try to get on like a debate panel or something. How do you even go about doing that? I should try to like reach out to some of these people and talk with them. The issue is I don't know exactly what I'd want to talk about with a lot of people. Like, let me think. If I were to reach out to Nick Fuentes, I would talk about immigration, obviously. If I were to reach out to a socialist, I mean, it kind of depends. Like, there's a lot of things that we could debate about. We could probably talk about economics. We could talk about we could argue about worker co-ops. I could probably try to talk to someone about trans people in sports. That could be a good debate. I'd have to like actually create like a document beforehand with some studies in it. But I think that maybe that could be useful. I just need to think about good debate topics and then reach out to people to talk about them. Debate Roserist. What would I debate Roserist over? I don't know anything about Roserist actually. Let me... who is this person? Yeah, I know who he is, but I don't know how much I would disagree with him on anything. Let me see. Oh, I should change it to my live screen again because I'm still looking through the channel. Let me see. I could debate veganism maybe? Or is he the pro-vegan person? He looks like he's a vegan.
I don't know, in like natural human conversation where someone would genuinely think that's not an answer.
But this is not a natural
if you said
this is a
said
specific debate on philosophy and moral justification. Saying it's just an intuitive thing isn't a justification. And this is a transcript from what you said after the post debate. I just felt like I didn't want to say it, but I felt like I was being gaslit. I feel like I was being gaslit because I literally said things he keeps saying like I literally didn't, which is concerning to me. So I want to talk about gaslighting for a minute here. So
Can you prove this? Because I hear a lot of people saying change the system, not the actions. But I don't think in any other context until it comes to veganism that people would do this. Like say for example.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a simple question.
Hang on, I'll just give you an example.
We can save so much time. We can save so much time. We can save so much time, please.
No, you just bear with me, okay? But I personally, I shop secondhand, and I do think that's important for many reasons.
Okay, literally nobody asked you about your consumption habits, but that no, you asked me a question and you haven't even let me answer the question. Are you serious?
So sorry, I'm getting distracted right now because apparently.
Wait, he's drinking. Oh no, I thought that was milk for a second. Okay. I still don't know. I need to know whether this dude's a vegan or not.
Creatures and we
well, no, I don't think many of them are. That's what's really concerning to me. Is you don't value sardines.
That's true. That's why I don't
value them as individuals. That's
I don't value them as. That's true.
You're going to.
Oh, I don't think he's a vegan though.
Exploitation and killing of other sentient beings because
Wrong.
there are a few vegans.
Wrong.
Well, no.
Wrong.
Oh, he's arguing against vegans.
You're incorrect. I've answered.
I agree with him.
Now I need
what the hell?
Is that would that be misinformation? Let's say I was wrong on what I just said.
I don't know.
Okay, you're such a coward, but that's okay. You can keep going.
I'm a coward.
All right.
Okay. Hello. How are you?
Dude, put up at least
good.
one button. Jesus
I'm a
Christ.
bit sunburned, so I'm a bit sore, but otherwise.
Oh no.
Sorry,
What about you?
I'm just gonna add on this, dude. If I keep going, I need to stop. Oh no. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm just gonna start memeing. Like, I'm not actually like trying to be a mean person to anyone. I'm just like literally gonna start. I'm just gonna start memeing on the dude. Like I said, oh, he looks like a vegan. Oh, why the fuck do you have 3 buttons down? Like nobody wants to see. No one wants to see. Dude, I'm like getting blinded. I guess it's red. Yeah. You gotta have a little hair before you unbutton your shirt, right? I don't know. Whatever. That's mean. It's all in good fun. I don't actually hate Rose Roast. I don't know anything about you, brother. If he's watching it, I doubt he will ever see this video. Debate on economics, markets, co-ops. Yeah. I mean, we could do that. Could be a good conversation. I just don't really know what he thinks about markets, so I'd have to look into it more, see how he argues. Actually, maybe I could watch the libertarian debate. Is he a socialist or just a capitalist? Because I'm not like super anti-capitalism, or I'm not super like anti-progressivism. Because I mean, I watch Destiny, and I feel like a Destiny conversation I would struggle to. I don't know. I'll have to look more into him. I also think I should talk to this dude. I could argue with this dude about fucking about trans women in sports, because I saw he had a debate with Destiny about it, and he's also in my Discord, so I mean that could be a thing. Yeah. He's a socialist / hard sock dem. Yeah, maybe that could be a good conversation. But yeah, I think it is a good time to end the stream. I have stuff going on later today. My camera keeps breaking, so I might need to figure out what's going on with that. Similar to how Trump is going to ban Muslim immigration until we just figure out what's going on. But looks like he's a socialist / hard sock dem. Okay. I think that debate could be interesting. Debate Haas about geopolitics? Oh no. Dude, I'd have to wear if I were to debate Haas, I'd have to like put on I would have to put on like my tank top and like just like flex the whole time and just start yelling at him. Just yell incoherently at him. Bring a banana to the debate, just start munching on the banana like a monkey. Oh god, that could be a fun debate actually. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I think now's got to be a good time to end it, right? I feel like I got some videos made. I feel like I need to talk to some people. I got ideas of people to talk to. Yeah. I feel like it's a good time to quit. Quit while you're ahead. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see you all in the next stream / video / debate.